Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to spending quality time with your girl, Eposiziton. Well, today is an entirely different kind of show. I'm very excited to do this show. This is a show that is not going to be aired on my platform. I'm doing it for the Cameroon Career Women platform. Well, I was given an invitation by one of the administrators of this particular platform to do a show on their platform, and I'm very excited to do it. One, because I'm a Cameroonian woman. Two, is going to give me more exposure and put me on the map as a Cameroonian woman who is doing something for our people to empower society. Well, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm humbled. Today, I'm going to be talking about extramarital relationships. Why did I choose this particular topic? Is because when I started my platform, the birth of my platform was as a result of the consequences that my parents' divorce had on us, or on me as an individual. So I figured, let me choose a topic that is dear to my heart, which is going to really make me expose some of the issues that I went through as a child from a divorced family, and what I understand now, being an adult, of some of the reasons that cause people to go into a divorce situation. Well, let's get started. Extramarital relationship is a big situation in the world at large. After all my travels, I've come to realize that it's an issue that is all over the world. Extra relationships are always an issue all over the world. And back in the day, I used to think that people abroad, when I talk about people abroad, I mean people in the Western world, I thought that that was an issue that they didn't go through. I thought that when they got married, they focus on their marriages, they fall in love and just concentrate on their loved one and don't even look outside their marriages. That was not true. It's an issue all over the world. Well, that's to let us know that there are lots of factors that push people to get into extra relationships or extramarital relationships. When we talk about marriage or we talk about a relationship, we're talking about people being committed. Even if it's just a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a fiancé, it's people who have decided to commit to each other and focus on giving each other happiness and focusing on just their relationship and not looking elsewhere. But we know that that's not true for the world of today, because a lot of people, even after taking the oath of marriage, they still look outside of their marriages for one or two reasons. And that's why I'm here today, to expose some of the reasons why people go into extramarital relationships. We know that societal issues are never a one-size-fits-all, which means that what works for you might not work for another person. What might make you do something might not make somebody else do the same thing. So for that reason, there are lots of factors that have resulted to extramarital relationship that just depends on the individuals. Well, I'm going to go back in the day. Back in the day when I was growing up, a lot of people went into forced marriages. So that's one of the reasons for extramarital relationship. People went into marriages that they were not in love. They were forced by their families to get into these marriages. And a lot of people went into these marriages very unhappy. For that reason, after a couple of years or after a while, they started looking out of their marriages. What are they looking for? They're looking for happiness. They're looking for compatibility. They're looking for somebody who is going to make them just be happy. So a lot of those who were forced into these marriages did not concentrate on these marriages. They looked outside for whatever they were looking for. Another reason was because of the whole boy-child syndrome. A lot of families back in the day in Cameroon or other parts of Africa had that belief system that the boy child was very important. They felt like in order for you to be able to be proud and walk around and say, I have kids, is for a man to say that I have my boy child who is going to take over from me when I'm gone and is going to keep the family name. So for those who had wives that could not provide or give them a boy child, they were forced to start looking outside, forgetting to know that a lot of times the man determines the sex of the baby. But because even for those who were educated, they just went with that whole traditional mentality that they needed a boy child and they had to look out of their marriages to see if they were able to have a boy child. Another reason was because people got married for wrong reasons. Some people got married just because, oh, this family is rich, this family has a name, they are popular, they are well known. That was very common in a Cameroonian community because we were all about the whole thing of name. And people were forced into marriages just because they want to be married to a family that has a name. And some families made their children to get into marriages just to keep that whole thing of title and name and class. Well, in our modern times, there are also a lot of reasons why people are going into extramarital relationships. One of the biggest factors is financial. A lot of people are so caught up with trying to live the good life, and they've brought upon themselves a lot of bills. They've brought upon themselves a lot of responsibility that they cannot stand up to. So it comes to a situation where they cannot have leisure, they cannot do things that are going to keep them happy. It's all about bills, bills, bills. And every time that the couple sit, all they have to talk about is bills and how to solve financial issues. And before you know it, people become bored. They want to look for happiness. They have to jump out of their marriages to see if they could have somebody that they can talk other things, not just bills and responsibility. So in that, a lot of men and women started having extra relationships outside of their marriages just to have that peace of mind. Lechery. You have a lot of men and women that just cannot stick to one sexual partner. Be it in a marriage, be it in a relationship, they always want to change. So they always have these side relationships just to be able to say that they're satisfying their selfish wants. Another reason is because a lot of men are just into that whole idea of manhood, masculinity, and feeling like that's what's going to make my friends respect me, that I can have every woman that I want. Another reason is financial. You have a lot of men that when they start acquiring wealth and money, they figure they can have any woman that they want, so they start looking outside and picking every woman that comes along just to prove to everyone in the community that they are rich and they can have any woman that they want. To them, it's a form of power. It's a form of making them feel good about themselves. Extramarital relationships, we also have situations where it's all about jealousy. You have people that are going to just look at your lifestyle, envy your lifestyle, and want what you have. So you have women out there or men out there that they look at somebody's marriage or somebody's relationship and they be like, why him? Why her? And they start looking for ways to cajole, looking for ways to seek the attention of people's husbands or wives just to be able to mess up their families. And for women that have such low self-esteem, they start feeling like, wow, this man is acting like he likes me. I'm going to also go for it. Same thing with the men. You have situations also that is as a result of women not being emotionally fulfilled by their husbands. You have men that will never give compliments to their wives, tell them how beautiful they are, tell them how nice their hair looks, how well they put themselves together. And these women start getting all this from men outside. And before you know it, they jump into these relationships because they feel like they feel that fulfillment of somebody telling them that they're beautiful, they look good, they dress well. Same thing with men. You have men that their women will never pay attention to them and tell them, honey, you look good. I like the way you dressed. And when they get these compliments from the outside, they start flirting with these women. Before you know it, bam, they are in a relationship. We have situations where men go to their job places and instead of paying attention to their jobs, or women going to their jobs, doing their job, they start thinking the easier way for me to cut corners is for me to start dating my boss. And they jump into these relationships in their workplaces. And before you know it, they are caught up in this relationship. They're having issues at home. They're not focusing no more at home. They're not paying attention to their partner. Well, with that being said, I'm going to go to some of the consequences that these relationships bring in our families. When people start cheating on their wives or cheating on their husbands, they lose focus. They don't concentrate anymore in the home. Things go wrong, they don't even pay attention to because their whole mind is all about going out and having fun. So the whole dynamics at home start falling apart. It goes to the extent where people spend all this money out of their marriages or their relationships, and they have to now downsize because they can no more keep the things that they have because they're always running short. So financial reason or financial consequences are part of the issues that come along with having all these extramarital relationships. Socially, it does affect our social standing. A lot of people go out there, they are no more respected because of what their partners do outside. They become a laughing stock. People look at them and don't even cherish what they have and don't even look at them like they are worth anything because they know that their partners are messing up outside. So it does affect our social standing. Sometimes it even affects the kids because when people start keeping all these relationships, people know outside and they're talking and they're making little, signs and actions that the kids can even pick up. And before you know it, it starts affecting our kids' performance in school. The kids start not doing well. The kids start focusing on adult issues and not concentrating on their schoolwork. And before you know it, a very intelligent child start not doing good in school, failing, not concentrating in class, because all the worrying is the issues that are going on at home. Sometimes it even affects the dynamics, the general environment at home, because people are fighting, arguing. Because when people are doing things on the side, sometimes they don't even value their partner. Everything is just an outburst. Everything you do is never taken well. So people are fighting, arguing, and it just affects the whole dynamics within the home. And the home becomes a battlefield instead of a place of comfort. Economically, extramarital relationships have gone to the extent where people have other accounts where they keep money just because they don't want their partner to know how they're spending or how they're using the money. And it affects the whole economy of the home to the point where, sometimes people cannot even be able to meet up with their wants. Not even talking about their needs. Even their needs, sometimes they cannot keep up with their needs as well as their wants. As a result of that, there are lots of consequences. And these consequences, we can only minimize them by looking for solutions. So I talked about the reasons why I think that people go into these relationships. Like I said, I couldn't exhaust all of them. I've talked about the consequences politically, socially, and economically. I'm also now going to talk about how we can resolve it. How can we minimize it? How can we reduce it? Because social issues like this, you can never be able to just eradicate it. A lot of times you just look for ways to minimize it. That's where the experts come in. I've always talked about counseling. I've always talked about looking for help. And our African community, we are not very exposed with that whole going for counseling and getting help. Back in the day, I know our parents used to go to older people in the community, older parents, older people who have had great marriages. They went to them and explained their issues and got help. But because sometimes some of the issues in marriages are so dark, for example, if the reason for the extramarital relationship is as a result of sexual unhappiness, people feel funny and uncomfortable to express that to other people. So things like that, you need to go to the expert, people who have gone to school, who have learned how to handle situations on extramarital relationships, so they can give you the proper tools for you to go and do your work, so you can improve on the reasons or the factors that are pushing you to look out of your marriage or out of your relationship. Also, we have churches, because for some people who are Christians, they are so connected with their churches, they are so connected to their religious superiors that they would love to go and sit with them and explain what they're going through. And a lot of times you might be able to get a lot of help from talking to religious counselors who might be able to guide you and, advise you and give you the proper tools that you can use to reduce that whole urge to want to look out of your marriage. There are lots of tools out there, like I say. We need to go out there and exploit those tools. Sometimes they even have support groups, which are people that have gone through infidelity, people who have gone through cheating and other forms of extramarital relationships. You have people like that out there that have formed support groups, and you can find out where you can have support groups like that and go there and see if you can get help that can help to improve on your situation. With that being said, there are many more tools out there that we can also use, which are like our friends, but you have to be careful of the friends that you open up to, because you have friends that will run with your story all over town. You have friends that will give you wrong advice and only put you more in a bad situation. That's why for me, I keep encouraging that more Cameroonians should go into the field of counseling, and we should be more open to go to the experts to help us when we're going through situations that we cannot handle. Because they have learned, they know the tools, they know the weapons, they have the experience from other people that are going through what you're going through or have been through what you're going through, that they've learned on how this can be handled and minimized. Well, like I said, I'm so thankful that Cameroon Career Women gave me this opportunity to come and talk on something like this. And I'm hoping that other families will take advantage of this information and use it to the best of their knowledge, because in my family, I wish my parents did that, to get counseling for themselves and counseling for us, so we could have smooth sailed through our issues. But with that being said, what I know today and what I know now, I think they did the best that they could. But I'm just saying that I don't want people to go down the path that we went through. I'm hoping that people can take advantage of the resources that we have out there and make it a little better for them and their families. Well, it was a pleasure having this platform, and it's a pleasure spending time with you guys. And bye for now.